100.
Tyler Lockett from the Seattle Seahawks.
EK Metcalf.
Hey, Burleson, you're watching NorbCam.
NorbCam.
You're watching NorbCam.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is NorbCam coming at you on this Monday here to start off the week. And boy, we're starting off this week with a bang. Big news out of the Cowboys camp. Yes, the signing of Dak Prescott to a huge contract. And we're going to discuss this in a little more detail with my guest who's coming up here on this episode of Behind Enemy Lines. And there's obviously a lot of ramifications, both not just from the Cowboys standpoint, but, you know, Dallas is one of those places that was named by Russell Wilson as if I were to be traded, maybe Dallas would be a nice place to go. So we're going to find out now, what does that mean now that Dak Prescott has been signed to a massive contract? I'm excited to get into it. So before I bring my special guest here today, I just want to remind everybody, if you wouldn't mind, I'd love it if you would please smash that like button, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and that way you won't miss a single video that I release in the future. So without further ado, let's bring on my special guest here on Behind Enemy Lines. I'm excited to bring back from our last time we collaborated back in September at the start of the year last year. We had a little collab, and he's back again now to represent the Cowboys. Here is Jordan Tuck, also known as the Cabo Cowboy. Welcome back to the show, man. It's good to have you.
Hey, what's going on, Norb, man? What's up, everybody, man? Great day to be a Cowboys fan, to say the least.
So I can't wait to get a little more detail on the reaction of that. Before we do, why don't you take a moment to tell everybody about your channel, where they can find you, so that they can see your more details about this deal and any other Cowboys-related stuff. Tell them what you got.
Yeah. Absolutely. So you guys can, of course, follow me on Twitter at JTuck151. I follow all football fans back, man, the good, the bad, the ugly. And also you can follow me on my YouTube channel, which is Cowboys Fans Only. It's a YouTube channel that we focus on Dallas Cowboys content, but we have a lot of fans from around the NFL who chime in from time to time, whether it's Eagles fans, Falcons fans, Washington fans. You know, we love talking NFL football with a lot of passionate fans such as yourself, man. So definitely go ahead, comment, like, and subscribe, and join the conversation.
All right, Cowboys fans only, but like you said, he will follow back non-Cowboys guys. Not the same way, right? Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking to him right now if it was Seahawks fans only. I like to connect with other YouTubers out there. And Chef Jack Attack from the East Coast, of course, always here supporting the channel on the Super Chat, says, hello, everybody. What's up? What's up, Chef Jack Attack? We're going to talk a little Cowboys today. What I like about you, man, is we did our preview to the game that we had way back in week 3. That was week 3 of the NFL season. And you were kind enough to not only do a preview collaboration, but you did a post-game collab, which most of the times, especially when you're on the losing side, most guys are like, hey, you want to do a post-game? They're like, let me get back to you on that one. But you were cool enough to do that. So I always appreciate that about you, man. But it's not, we're done with 2021. We're now talking about what just happened today. So I want to get your initial reaction. Tell me, where were you? How did you find out? And what was your reaction when you saw this deal go down? Real quick, so everybody knows, Dak Prescott signed a 4-year contract, $160 million up to $164 million, $126 million guaranteed. That means he's going to be making $42 million the first 3 years of his deal. There's a no trade clause, no tag clause. So it's a very sweet deal for Dak Prescott. So when you heard this go down, man, tell me about where you were and what was your reaction to it?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you follow me on Twitter, I've been kind of doom and gloom when it comes to this whole Dak Prescott deal, especially as we started to get it by the end of today. And so I was like, I don't think the deal's going to be done. I was thinking the Cowboys were going to franchise tag Dak, because a lot of the news that we've been receiving today was about the Cowboys were going to franchise tag Dak and then maybe work on a deal in the next foreseeable future. And so I was like, man, I just don't see it's happening. So I was out actually walking my dog, right? And all of a sudden, my phone just started going crazy. And I had my phone in my pocket, so I paid no attention. So I'm, silencing my phone. And it kept going. I'm like, okay, let me check. And all of a sudden, I see, deal done. Dak is back. I'm like, what is going on? What is going on? So, of course, I had to go online and check. And once I saw that Dak Prescott was actually signed, we got the deal done. Man, I was ecstatic. So for not only myself, but for a lot of Cowboys fans, it feels like we just won a championship of some caliber, man, because to be honest with you, this whole conversation has been exhausting. We've been going through this the last 3 off seasons. And so for us to finally get a deal done, for us to finally, have Dak Prescott to be our quarterback for the foreseeable future. It's a huge burden, a huge joy amongst Cowboys Nation, man, and I'm excited, man. I'm honestly at a loss for words when it comes to it, because I still can't believe we actually did it, because I just didn't see it getting done.
Yeah, well, that's great. So you and your dog got to experience the joy of the news breaking. Your dog's like, whoop, whoop, whoop. What's going on?
What's going on? Why are you yelling? What's going on? Right.
Chef Jack Attack with a follow-up super chat says, thanks for Twitter following. No problem, bro. I always appreciate to do it. And then Teddy Two Gloves in the super chat says, if I was a Cowboy fan, I'd be bummed they didn't get Russ. Dak is good, but he won't get them to the big game. They can win the NFC East, though. All right, so let's get into that now. So obviously you're on the side that you were happy to get this done. So, right. And I know there's some people who probably are on the other side. There always is with a big, when it comes to quarterbacks, there's the ones who like him and who don't like him. Clearly you are on his side. You're happy to have him back. So what does this mean in your mind for Dallas? It is obviously they believe he's a franchise quarterback, and you must believe so as well. What does this mean for the franchise moving forward? And add to this the injury situation. We all know about the nasty ankle injury that he had. Clearly, they wouldn't do this deal if they didn't think he had a very better than good chance of coming back and being the quarterback that he was before the injury. Just put all that in kind of context now that you're sort of going, okay, this is the start of a new deal here. Where does the injury and where's your outlook on what Dak Prescott can do for Dallas moving forward?
Yeah, I feel like it puts us right back to where we were when we spoke, week 3, I believe that was way back in September. I felt like coming into last season with what we had, the Dallas Cowboys were going to be a competitive team based on what we had from our roster. Now, did I think our defense was going to take a leap back that drastically? Absolutely not. But even for the most part, our offense was not the issue. We're able to score at a click of a button. We were putting up 30-plus points, striking back. I mean, we did in the game versus you guys. Fell a little bit short, but, think about the Cleveland game. Also, the Falcons game. So our offense is explosive when you had Dak Prescott, also the weapons of Ezekiel Elliott, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and Michael Gallup. So I feel like right now, signing Dak, it puts us right back in the conversation to be competitive. And what's the most important thing, a lot of people were using this deal as a reason why the Cowboys wouldn't be able to sign anyone in free agency. But what they have to understand is the Cowboys were able to get the long-term deal. So now Dak Prescott for the 2021 cap is only going to be about $22 million. And so we have more than enough room to go after some free agents defensively. We have our top 10 draft picks. So I feel like where the Cowboys stand, we're standing in a good standing because we not only we get our offensive back, we're going to get healthy with our offensive line and Tyron Smith, also La'el Collins. We have our quarterback back. The weapons are still intact. Now we're able to add a few additional pieces to get back to right where we were. Now, when it comes to as far as my concerns with the injury, I really don't have much concern when it comes to Dak from the standpoint of, I've spoken to numerous people who had similar injuries, and it really not, there wasn't any drastic, like a rehab. You think about it from the NBA standpoint, like a Gordon Hayward, he kind of had a similar injury to Dak Prescott, and he's back playing like he was prior to the injury. So I don't think there's any concern from my standpoint, but also from the Dallas Cowboys standpoint is that, even through all this turmoil, Dak Prescott was still rehabbing at the facility in Frisco, so he was always in-house. So I think they have a good grasp on what's going on with the injury and as far as its recovery is concerned. So I feel like, from the Cowboys standpoint, they're optimistic, add a few additional pieces, and we can get right back to where we were coming into the 2020 season.
So last year, we all know how the NFC East was one of the worst divisions in football. What week was it that Dak Prescott got injured?
That was week 5 because the Giants.
So it was even not even halfway through the season. So I'm curious, what do you think? Where would Dallas have finished had Dak Prescott been able to play the entire season? What do you think would have been the end result? Do you think they would have been top of the division and made it to the playoffs? Hands down in the East. Do you think that's how significantly different that team became once Dak Prescott was no longer able to play as quarterback?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like we would have easily won the division. And then also, I feel like we'd have been competitive and a scary team to actually face in the actual playoffs. Because you think about it from the standpoint is, though our defense was historically bad, once they started to get, healthy as far as the secondary is concerned, we had some guys returning back, they were starting to create turnovers, right, and play a lot better than what they were playing for the first half of the season. It was just that we had a Ben DiNucci or a Gary Gilbert or Andy Dalton when we couldn't score points. So I feel like if our defense was just half as good last year with the way that our offense was, we would have been right in the thick of things. And a lot of people like to say, grant the NFC least or whatnot, but think of it from the standpoint, Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl. What was the team that played the most competitive game versus Tampa in the playoffs? It was actually the Washington football team. So I feel like with us being able to score 30 to 30 plus points a game, and if our defense was able to force turnovers, it would have put us right in the thick of things. I think where the Cowboys really made a bad decision last year is when they brought in Mike Nolan as a defensive coordinator, and you try to fully restructure the entire defense via Zoom calls. We didn't have the OTAs in the offseason that we were accustomed to fully try to change the defense and really get them on par. It was just too much thinking, lots of miscommunications. We had against you guys. We saw, DK Metcalf shredding passes and wide open coverage and different things like that. But I feel like once things start to really settle down, the defense play a lot better. Now there's a way we can actually fix a few things, but they actually found their footing, and with our offense being able to score 30 plus at a blink of an eye, I feel like it would put us right in the thick of things. So I'm fully confident the Cowboys would have been at least won a playoff game. If you give me Dak Prescott last year, I'd take his first Tampa any day of the week.
Now, interesting, what would have been the situation if it wasn't Washington, if it had been Dallas in that game? Could Dallas have been the team moving forward? We would not have even heard Tom Brady's name mentioned near the Super Bowl, because it could have been, like you said, it could have been a totally different game. Of course, that's all history now. We'll only have to move forward, and we might see that rematch next year, since obviously Brady and the Buccaneers are gunning for a second one, but here we are in the NFC. Everybody's trying to, find their position to knock off the reigning Super Bowl champs, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So flip it to the script then, to the other side when it comes to Dak Prescott. What is the negative side to this? Either from the standpoint of what is the not good traits. Nobody's perfect. So give me some of the negative sheets on what Dak Prescott is as a quarterback, and what could be with the terms of this deal. Obviously, it's a lot of money. We know all about that. And it seems like the salaries just keep getting higher and higher. And this year, the cap is strapped from where it normally would have gone up. And they're still trying to figure that out by tomorrow. Since tomorrow they're supposed to have the franchise and transition tags in place for the teams, that they don't even know the caps yet. So everything's still up in the air. What do you think? What are the cons to the quarterback, and two, a deal of this magnitude?
Yeah, from a football standpoint, as you mentioned, Norb, any player can always improve. There's always going to be some area of weakness, but I feel like the most concern would possibly be the ankle. If he's not fully healthy, what if he's not able to run like he was, prior to the injury? So I feel like that would be a huge red flag, possibly, to see how Dak handles that moving forward. Is he going to favor it? Is he going to be hesitant with his decision making due to the ankle, which remains to be unseen? So I feel like that could be the one downside to it. But I feel like a lot of people, and we just spoke about this on my channel, there will be added pressure to Dak Prescott because the microscope is going to be zooming down on him every throw, every play made. So he can't just have the kind of standard season that he's been accustomed to having. He's actually going to have to translate a lot of these games and this production into actually winning football games, and especially when it matters. So I feel like just winning the division isn't going to be enough for the conversation to be warranted that he was deserving the money. We're going to have to start making deeper playoff runs. We're going to be more competitive on a consistent basis, which is always going to be Dak Prescott under the microscope. But I think from the standpoint, right? The moment that Dak came into the Dallas Cowboys organization as a fourth-round pick, he had this amount of pressure because his rookie season, he had the whole Tony Romo dark cloud just waving over him. And so he excelled well on that. And then it was, could Dak actually perform without Ezekiel Elliott? And the goalpost is constantly moved for Dak Prescott to continuously prove himself year after year after year, and he's always risen to the challenge. So I don't think the pressure is really going to amount to him. I think their focus really has to be, overcoming the injury, that he's not leaning too heavy against the ankle injury and overcompensating, but he's able to come back to his normal self. I feel like it's only up from here when it comes to Dak Prescott and also the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, it's interesting hearing you say these things. It almost feels like it's like deja vu because Russell Wilson, again, just 2 years ago signed a deal very similar, no trade clause, one of the highest quarterback deals up to this point, and now Dak Prescott's tilted it one more time. And right. I got to recognize Teddy Two Gloves, who's just blowing up my super chat here.
Yeah,
appreciate you, bro. He says, I got to say one thing in all this. Jerry Jones is a loyal owner to his players. He doesn't make business decisions. His decisions are made by a big, dumb cowboy heart. Jerry is the best. So I guess.
Well, I mean,
what do you think about that?
A lot of people believe Jerry Jones, and granted, you guys are Seahawks fans primarily on this channel. Jerry Jones is just the mascot of the Dallas Cowboys, if you will. It's really his son Stephen Jones that does all the decision making moving forward. So that's why you've seen the Dallas Cowboys, especially in free agency, move a lot differently than we have in years past. I mean, you guys had a guy that was literally ran out of your locker room and ran to us and said, if you have a chance to come get me, come get me. Jerry Jones,
don't remind me of that.
Owner yeah. And so Jerry Jones, the owner that we know and love, would have easily came and got him, like hands down. But it was Stephen Jones kind of saying, whoa, let's pump the brakes. How much will it cost? How, the draft picks. He also got another guy who spoke about, Jamal Adams, right? It's Stephen Jones. He plays this more conservative route when it comes to signing players and making actual transactions. Jerry Jones is just the face. He goes on the radio shows. He's just the easier conversation, but it's really Stephen running the show right now. So, even from a Cowboys fan standpoint, there's been some huge adjustment because we're sitting back saying, okay, Earl Thomas come and told you, come get him. Go get him. But, in years past, if it was whether it was a Charles Haley or a Deion Sanders or Terrell Owens, Jerry was more aggressive than Stephen currently is. And so that's why we were kind of not too optimistic about this Dak deal because it was very cap focused and, getting the proper deal. But I feel like Dak Prescott really pushed the Cowboys into a spot where he had all the leverage, and eventually the Cowboys finally caved and did the right thing.
Where do you think the Dallas Cowboys finish next year? Does this put them back, assuming, no more tragic, injuries? Where did the Dallas Cowboys finish next year, in your opinion?
It remains to be unseen. I feel like we still have some holes to fill defensively, but if we are able to, take advantage of the draft and bring in like a defensive tackle via free agency or whatnot, I feel like it puts us right at the top of the mountain in the NFC, because honestly, from my standpoint, there is no team that I look at in the NFC wise that I say, you know what, they're just too much to us. Now, as a team here in Kansas City, maybe yes, but honestly, if we were able to play the Tampa Bay Bucks, I would feel fully confident that we could beat the Tampa Bay Bucks. For the reason why is that what really happened to Kansas City in that Super Bowl, Tampa Bay sat back and played a cover two high safeties. They took away Tyreek Hill right over the top, and they allowed to give it underneath. But what Kansas City really failed to do was they got away from the run. But I feel like you can't do that with the Dallas Cowboys because we have two dynamic running backs in Ezekiel Elliott and also Tony Pollard. If we continue to commit to the run game, that's going to bring those safeties up. And if we bring those safeties up, well, good luck covering CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and Michael Gallup. So I feel like we're more of a matchup problem for Tampa Bay if they're kind of the new, top dogs in the NFC. I feel fully comfortable with playing Tampa Bay. Now, Kansas City's a little bit different story because they have a high-octane offense. But to be honest with you guys, and I'm not just being a fan, I feel like our offense is just as explosive as Kansas City, if not more. So.
Wow, some very big claims being made here, man. All right.
And
yeah.
If we do my draft pick at number 10 and we draft the Kyle Pitts, then we're even more explosive. So
you do have a very explosive receiving core, no doubt about that.
Right.
We were very fortunate to get a win against you guys early in the season last year. All right, so I wanted to transition this just because, again, this feels like deja vu from 2 years ago. 2 years ago, Russell Wilson signs the highest quarterback contract. I'm thinking, okay, 4 years. We won't have to be worrying about Russell Wilson for 4 years, because this is, and 2 years later, everybody's talking about Russell Wilson being traded here, and he wants to go there, and Cowboys this, and Chicago that, and Vegas this, and New Orleans that. So this clearly takes Dallas out of the running on this situation because now Dak Prescott is clearly the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. I wanted to get your take, man. First, backing up, because you obviously didn't see this deal coming up. When you first heard the whole Russell Wilson thing and him or I should say, it's not him, his agent saying,
Right.
Russell Wilson doesn't want to trade right now, but he wouldn't mind going to one of these places, including Dallas. What was your reaction to that when you heard that? Given where you were and the state of the uncertainty with your quarterback, how did you react to that?
Yeah, I and I keep telling people on Twitter, watch the ball or watch the hips, not the ball, man. It was clickbaity because if you think about what happened that day, it was like Russell Wilson has a few trade options, right? It was like the Jets, the Bears, I forgot, it was like two other teams, right? And all of a sudden, like that story really didn't get too much traffic. And all of a sudden around 1:00, it was like, Russell Wilson also adds the Cowboys, right? And it was this boom, like, my phone was blowing up everywhere. So I knew that wasn't a reliable option for, Russell Wilson to come to the Dallas Cowboys and get, be the quarterback replacement for Dak Prescott. Now, I would say this, Russell's a great guy. He's a great quarterback. But I feel like what Seattle is probably going to ask for us wouldn't even been worth it in the first place, because I feel like if you're giving up 2 first rounds or maybe 3 first round picks for Russell Wilson, you're probably going from here to here. Like, it's not that big of a gap between him and Dak Prescott, because the same issues and the same knocks that Dak Prescott receives, we start to see that with Russell Wilson. What's the big knock on him? Can he not win without the Legion of Boom? Can he not win with his defense? Can he not win with his offensive line? So these same things are starting to apply to Dak Prescott. You see applies to Russell Wilson. So I don't think the Cowboys were going to even make that jump. And I don't feel like it honestly would have been worth it. So, I think Russ, to be honest with you, if it's me looking at it from this standpoint, he's going to be in a lot better place if he stays in Seattle, because he's going to be a lot more competitive games versus what you guys currently have, versus him going to Chicago and drowning out there, because it's not always, the grass isn't always green on the other side until you get there and you realize, man, Chicago don't have a DK Metcalf, man. Like, this isn't, it's not the same. And if Russell Wilson thought that he was going to come to the Dallas Cowboys and have full control over everything and make all the decisions, I got a bad thing. It doesn't happen here in Dallas, man. So, I think it'd be best for Russ just to remain in Seattle and, just figure things out from there. So,
yeah. So that's your vibe on Russell Wilson, that more than anything else, the best situation for him really is to work things out with the organization and stay here in Seattle. Right?
Exactly. Because, the teams that you mentioned, okay, the Jets, the Bears, I forgot the other 2 teams.
The New Orleans Saints and the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, Raiders and Saints. Can you really say that the Saints will be a better off with their strapped for cash self, that they'll be a better situation than playing in Seattle? No, they're not. Pete Carroll's a great coach. You guys are going to continue to be competitive. What the tear is between Russ and the organization, I don't understand it. But it can be worked out, man. I think it's the off season. It's only February. I feel like once Seattle goes into the draft, they bring in a few additional pieces. They get Russell back in house. He'll be happy. He'll want to remain. I feel like the same thing with Deshaun Watson. Man, it's just like, you know what? Be happy where you are and figure it out, because it's not always green on the other side. If he was to go to Carolina, who cares if Deshaun Watson goes to Carolina? No one's checking for Carolina. So
they make a lot of comparisons between what Russell Wilson's doing and Deshaun Watson. It's very different, though, because you actually have Deshaun Watson speaking out saying he doesn't want to be there. Russell Wilson's never actually said, I want to leave. It's his agent just sort of floating it in a very passive-aggressive Seattle-style way, like, oh, we don't want to be traded.
Right.
But if it happened, Exactly. But Deshaun Watson is out. Really, as I said, he's not happy where he's at, which is something Russell Wilson has not said. So, I don't know. They're very different situations, but hard to compare. But you only compare the fact that you got 2 great quarterbacks of an organization with the potential that they could be leaving, and everybody just starts making their own stories out of that. What is the weakest aspect as a football player, as a quarterback? What do you just say? If you could wave a wand and say, I'm going to fix this about Dak Prescott, what is his weakest part of his game? Seahawks, we would say as fans, that Russell Wilson's biggest issue is he holds on to the ball too long, and that's why he gets sacked. But of course, he makes some magical plays out of those times too. But right now, the issue is he gets sacked too much because he does hold on to the ball. That's kind of one of the takes. What is your take? If you could wave a wand and fix, one glaring issue on Dak Prescott's game, what would it be?
Yeah, I would say that's pretty much one of the same things. Dak is hesitant a little bit sometimes in the pocket where he holds the ball a little bit too long. Now, granted, that may have been for him the makeshift offensive line that we had last year, but it's something he can definitely work on because I feel like once things starts to collapse for Dak, he's a little bit hesitant because we're seeing it wide open, but he's going through his developments and his reads a little bit slower because, Dak wants to protect the ball. He's never been one of those guys who are kamikaze, unlike Tony Romo. Tony Romo trusts his instincts. He would just slang it and whatever happens. Dak isn't that type of player. So I feel like he does hold the ball, a little bit long in some cases. And then sometimes there's inconsistency with the throw. I mean, Dak Prescott, it might be fourth quarter and he might make two horrible throws where they should have been catchable, but he may have underthrown them. But then he comes out with a big, huge strike and he makes up for himself. So I think he's able to, add on to that consistency and also be able to progress his reads a little bit faster. I think that'll actually send Dak to the next level.
Give me, we're about to wrap this up. My guest is Jordan Tuck, the Cabo Cowboy. My guest today, talking about the Dak Prescott deal and the Cowboys. Tell me, is your best guess, how does the division finish up for the NFC East? Name 1 to 4? What's the final standings results for the NFC East in 2021?
I would say Dallas. It really depends on if Washington gets a quarterback or not, whether it's in the draft or not. I would say Dallas. I would say New York, Washington, and then Philly.
Okay. I was going to say because the Giants, unfortunately, they never got going because one of the best strengths of theirs was Saquon Barkley, who got injured so early that was over, and clearly what would have been one of their best offensive weapons was off the field. Not that he was doing great off the bat, but you figure at some point he would have gotten going. So Dallas or Cowboys, Giants, Washington, and the mess that is the Philadelphia Eagles. All right.
Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah. It really depends on what they do in the draft, but I feel like for the most standpoint, Dallas is now, by leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else in the NFC East. Granted, it's going to be some ups and downs. We're going to take some bumps in the road, but I feel like for the most part, we should be able to handle the NFC East. I feel like knowing Jason Garrett, once he gets Saquon back, expect Saquon to get the ball fed to him a lot, just like he used to do Ezekiel Elliott. And I feel like their defense in New York is just as sustainable as what Washington has. I feel like Washington has a lot of talent, but as long as you don't have a quarterback, man, it's really going to be hard to be competitive, and especially they just got rid of Alex Smith. So, I know they got, Henne back there. Henne thinks possible, but I really don't trust him for a full season. And then the Eagles just a mess, man. They're strapped for, cap-wise. They don't understand what they're going to be doing at the quarterback position. And so I would put the Eagles as last in the division. So.
All right. Well, we've got a bunch of months to wait before we get to figure all that stuff out. But
I see Bucks TB12. We play Tampa this year, so we'll address it when we come to Tampa. So we're not
okay.
Honestly, like I said, for me, when I look at it, if I'm looking at any team that we have to go through, it's our big evil shadow of Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. I feel like for some reason, he just has our number. And so if we can get him out of the picture, then I feel like it's all up from them. Now that kind of, you get the Saints out of the way. You don't have to really worry about them for the most part. You have Aaron Rodgers. 49ers will be back healthy, but Jimmy Garoppolo, okay, cool. You have Seattle, but they're having their issues with Russ. Like, who else is? I mean, you have the Rams and Matthew Stafford. I guess you could put them pretty much at the top of the food chain. Maybe the Cardinals, but there's no one that I see.
They got J.J. Watt, and a lot of Cardinals fans are excited about that.
Yeah. So it's like, there's not really too many teams that I see, honestly, so I'm feeling very optimistic about the Cowboys because I was feeling optimistic last year. It's just that we got hit by the injury bug bad last year, and things start to add up, so.
Yeah, Bucks TB12 in the chat says Cowboys are not even in it. LOL. Well, what would you expect to hear from a Bucks fan who just won the Super Bowl, right?
Right. Of course, it happens. But, sometimes things happen. Things work in your favor. You get to play Kansas City without their entire offensive line, and things happen to work in your favor. So
I'll tell you, man, so much about this league, there is a lot of luck involved. Luck in the sense that if you don't get injured, you are a lucky team, right? I mean, you guys lost a quarterback. We've lost different players throughout. And one thing that I always go back to when it comes to the Russell Wilson thing, when people are so quick to just, again, the grass is greener, whether it's the quarterback looking at another team or fans thinking, oh, we'll just get another quarterback. We don't need him. We'll get somebody else. Have you guys forgotten that Russell Wilson has not missed a game in his entire career? How many players can say that, right? Very few.
Matters.
Very few quarterbacks can say that, no matter how great they are. Look at Andrew Luck. Look at Carson Wentz. Look, these guys all suffered. Andrew Luck got knocked out of the league because he got tired of getting beat up, right? So to have a player who's just always available, man, it is a. You got to hold on to that, man. So I will stand by my argument that Russell Wilson needs to stay here. Seattle needs to work it out because he, to me, is still our franchise quarterback, and he won't find it better somewhere else. So hopefully he does find a way to stay. All right, man. Well, I appreciate your time.
Can I ask you one question?
Okay, flip it on me. What's up?
Because it's free agency. What are you guys doing with KJ Wright?
Oh, they better sign him, man.
Oh, okay.
They got to sign him.
Now, if there's a Seattle Seahawk that needs a home in Dallas, KJ.
You know when a player's good, man. You guys have needs at linebacker. I mean, you got who do you got in there now? You got who's your linebacker stars? You got Lee, right? You got.
Well, yeah, unfortunately still. He's way longer than two. So we have Sean Lee, Jalen Smith, and Leighton Vander Esch. Leighton Vander Esch has been injury riddled. He was out majority of last season. Sean Lee is, pretty much on his last leg. So pretty much has been running with Jalen Smith. And so, we got one of your old coaches and Dan Quinn coming in to be the defensive coordinator. So, with KJ Wright, I feel like he can add to that linebacker depth. So I was like, if you guys were going to move on, I'll find a nice home
leave my KJ alone. Leave my KJ alone.
All right. Hands off. All right.
All right. Yeah. No, we did a video a little while ago last week breaking down why we need to keep KJ here. And KJ actually responded to my tweet, said, hey, man, check out these guys' film. They know what they're talking about. So you got to see that stuff. KJ's great, man. He's like timeless, ageless, had one of his best seasons, and he's been here for a long time. So he's just like a fine wine, getting better with age. All right. So, Jordan, man, I appreciate you being on here. I want to give you one more chance to let everybody know where to find you and what you got coming up. What videos can they find on your channel right now?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I appreciate you having me on, my guy. Like I said, you can find me on Twitter at jtuck151 and also on my YouTube channel, Cowboys Fans Only. And also you can find me and Norb on the Fan to Fan Network, man. So definitely chime into that. Great content for a lot of content creators around the NFL. Definitely in tune, very knowledgeable guys. And what I really got coming down the pike, man, video-wise, is a lot of live shows. But finally, I can get back to draft talk, man. So I'm doing more mock drafts. I'm doing a lot of free agency conversations, but this Dak Prescott thing has been kind of just overshadowing everything. I was doing some film sessions on the draft this past weekend. I was just like pounding, like, man, I don't even have a dang quarterback. Why do I really care about what we draft? And so I was kind of getting to the point where I was going to start scouting quarterbacks, and I've been holding off as long as possible. So thank goodness I don't have to watch any quarterback film, to be honest with you. So I was kind of getting worried. But yeah, this was a lot of great guys coming to my channel, man. If you guys are familiar with Law Nation and Voch Lombardi and a lot of my guys around the Cowboys Nation, we just like talking Cowboys content and NFL football, man. So we got a lot of big things planned, and it's just kind of my first year in it, man. But it's been a great journey meeting great people like yourself, man, and across the NFL, and I'm definitely enjoying it, and I'm enjoying it a lot better now that I actually have a quarterback. So.
Hey, man, when you got a quarterback, you got to just, wrap both arms around him and be grateful that you got one, man, because you see these teams that don't have one have been looking for a long time, the Chicagos of the world and the Denvers of the world, man. It's like, it's not a happy place to be. We had that struggle for a long time, man. For many years, we didn't have franchise quarterbacks, and it is not a good spot. So congratulations on the signing of Dak Prescott. Tough for teams who will have to face him. I don't think we play you guys next year, do we?
No, I think you guys on the calendar. So.
Yeah, I don't think so. Unless it's in the playoffs. We could meet in the playoffs. So, there's always that. So, all right, Matt. So, again, Jordan Tuck, the Cabo Cowboy, my special guest. Appreciate you being on here, sharing some thoughts on it. And I'm sure we will collaborate soon, man. But in the meantime,
Absolutely,
have a great off season. Appreciate you being here, and we'll talk to you next time our paths cross. All right.
Appreciate it. Go Cowboys.
To everybody else who was watching, thanks for tuning in, and everybody who supported on the super chat. Appreciate you guys, especially Teddy Two Gloves, man, blowing it up. Appreciate it, man. And the video's ending, but you don't have to leave because we got another video right over here and just over there. Just click over because it never ends. It's all great stuff. We'll talk to you guys all later. Go Hawks.